Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, it happened. I told you on numerous occasions that the Russians have a high consistency rating. Good or bad. That means when they told you they will do something, they did it. As I said, in good times and in bad times. If they told you, don't do that, I'm going to punch you in the face, they did it. They have a high rating. I told you that. It finally happened. The Ukrainians pushed and pushed, and it's their Western sponsors pushed and pushed Russia and Russia's red lines, crossed them numerous times. But one time too much. And this is the Kerch Bridge. The Kerch Bridge, the Crimean Bridge, was blown up, as you know, I'm pretty sure, by the Ukrainian security services, according to the Russians, with the help of foreign services. Again, I made a video on that yesterday. If you remember, a while ago, Dmitry Medvedev, right, the former president of Russian Federation, said that if that bridge, Kerch Bridge, is damaged or attacked, the perpetrators will have no place to hide, nowhere to hide. They will unleash whatever doomsday or something like that is going to be for those guys. Well, they did it, and the Russians kept their word, if you want, and they attacked, unfortunately, civilian infrastructure. They call it certain kind of targets. Well, let's see what's going on here. I have this article from Sputnik. You can find all over the place articles regarding the Russian retaliatory strikes on Ukraine, civilian, purposely, and they say, yes, we did this in retaliation for you guys doing that. And this is part one. So, this article, as I said, comes from Sputnik, I think, and it's from today, the 10th of October 2022. And this is the title. Putin says, Russian high-precision strikes target infrastructure in response to Kiev's terrorism. Russia launched missile strikes on a series of infrastructure targets across Ukraine on Monday after investigators concluded that Ukrainian security services were responsible for Saturday morning's attack on the Crimean Bridge. Monday morning's series of missile strikes targeting Ukraine infrastructure was a response to Kiev's long record of terrorist actions, including, but not limited, to Saturday's attack on Crimean Bridge, Russian President Vladimir Putin has indicated. And I'm quoting, "It is obvious that Ukraine's special services were the masterminds, organizers, and perpetrators of the terror attack on the bridge. The Kiev regime has been using terrorist methods for a long time," end quote, Putin said, speaking at a meeting of the Russian Security Council. And I'm quoting, "A number of terrorist attacks and attempts at similar crimes have been committed against the electrical power facilities and gas transportation infrastructure of our country, including attempts to detonate a section of the Turk Stream gas transmission system." I was unaware of that. "All of this has been proven by objective data, including the testimony of the detained perpetrators of these terrorist attacks themselves," Putin said. The president also recalled attempts by Ukraine security services to target Russia's Kursk nuclear power plant on 3 separate occasions, with a third attack damaging 3 high-voltage power lines going to the plant. Kiev's terrorist methods, quote-unquote, have also included the murder of public figures, journalists and scientists, both in Russia and in Ukraine, plus the, and I'm quoting, terrorist attacks against the cities of the Donbas over the past 8 years, plus, I'm quoting, acts of atomic terrorism in the form of artillery strikes against the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, Putin said. By its actions, Kiev, and I'm quoting, put itself on a par with the most odious terrorist groups, and it was simply impossible to leave such crimes unanswered, according to Putin. Now, this is what Putin said, and then we have here Russian Defense Ministry says all designated objects in Ukraine hit. Goal achieved. So it's obviously Russians are going to use this and this Kerch bridge as how they're using it right now, and they will not stop. Yesterday, and not only yesterday, before, I was talking on multiple occasions about Russia, is it going to answer or not? Because it seemed like the red lines that the allies, let's put them this way, or maybe the sponsors of the Ukrainians, they crossed many times, providing Ukraine with weapons that Russia told and said, these are just unacceptable, these are red line crossings here. They kept doing it. I said on many times that I should have considered a red line the first arms transport coming from any country from outside entering Ukraine. I would have called that cross of the red line, and I would have done I would have retaliated in, if I could, obviously, to military targets, considering those actors as being active participants in the war. You help my enemy to kill me, to destroy me. So how are you called? Neutral? There's no way. So that's one thing, and they didn't do it. Then another thing, from my observation, based on the reports that these guys are providing us, the mass media, I know, all the experts, analysts, and all that, this war was a controlled war. That means the Russians did not do like they did right now. And because they did it right now tells me that they were able, but they didn't do it. Which I'm talking about carpet bombing, like the Second World War, which is not happening right now yet. And, just flattening out cities. People might say, well, that's what they've been doing. Well, not according with them. And then if you have, army units in the civilian areas, how do you want me to blow you up? You know what I mean? It's just, if you place yourself over there, what am I supposed to do? Not to hit, but you can hit at me, like for instance the Russians are doing in Belarus. They start shooting from Belarus, but you can't shoot in Belarus. Now that's weasel. So if you look like, again, we can shoot at you from Russia, but you cannot use HIMARS to hit us in Russia. What do you mean? So all this was controlled, and it's still controlled. I'm not going to say, oh my God, this is not a war. It is war over there, but it's very much controlled. And this retaliatory action coming from Russia proves that again, that they just had to push a few buttons and prove they did damage as a response. And as I said, according to Medvedev, this is just the first step, and then will be the next one. Now, what will be the next one? I don't know. It's crazy, but they've been told. The Ukrainians been told. Now, I don't know if the Kerch bridge was blown out by the Ukrainians. Okay, I do not know that. The Russians say that. Everybody else is kind of denying, agree with that, and so on. But the Russians say that. Now, it could be that the Russians blew it themselves to do this. Say, see, now we're going to hit you clear and nice, because we can't win the war over there in the provinces, in the territories, the annexed territories, or whatever you want to call those. So these are armies, these are humans, and we do these kind of things. So I'm not discarding that alternative. I have no evidence to support either it was the Russians or it was the Ukrainians or someone else. As of now, these guys say it was the Ukrainians, as the guys with the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 is going to say it was the Russians blowing up the pipelines. What are we going to do? We can doubt, yeah, we can be skeptical, yeah, but that's about it. Because they have the information, they don't allow anybody to come around and conduct their investigation. So the same here, the Russian conducted their investigation, it's their jurisdiction, like the guys from Denmark say, oh no, the pipelines here are under our jurisdictions. The Swedes say the same and not allow anybody else, but some observers from United States of America. Okay, I'm gonna keep you posted because things are gonna escalate. This is not the end of the retaliatory strikes on the infrastructure, civilian infrastructure by Russia. That it's obvious, and not only obvious, but they state it, and they have, as I said, a high credibility in this one. Consistency. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.